All right, welcome back to the Redefining podcast today. It's excited. We got Amanda Newcomb, who is a newcomer to the podcast, but you'll be seeing a lot more of her. And we've got exciting times today to go over something with Purdue University, and the Boilermakers. So they're not the big school in Indiana this week, but some weeks they are, So, but anyway, just we're here to talk with Mr. Jarrod Sutton from Purdue University, and you're in charge of the Dial Ventures for Purdue. So if
Yeah.
you would
Hey,
just give us a little introduction, Jarrod, and tell us what we need to know about you. We just met a couple of weeks ago in Kansas City at a farm meeting.
yeah. Good to see you, Caleb and Amanda. Thanks for hosting me and giving me the chance to share a little bit. Excited to visit with you all further. Really enjoyed getting to know you at FarmCon in Kansas City a couple weeks back. Yeah, listen, I'm a farm kid from North Central Indiana. Like a lot of farm kids, diversified operation. We had a lot of cattle, a lot of hogs, farrow to finish. My dad, when he got married, he grew up on a dairy farm. So the first thing he did when he got married was buy a dairy farm and turn it into a hog farm and raise beef cattle because he didn't want to milk cows anymore. So I never milked cows, but I pretty much done everything else. Baled a lot of hay, a lot of square bales back in the day. We had a lot of neighbors that were dairy farmers, and of course for our cattle. Row crops, corn and soybean rotation primarily, occasionally wheat and like I said, alfalfa. Most farm kids in Indiana, when they get a chance, we're all born with a basketball in our hands. So I had a chance to go to a small, it was a liberal arts school and play a little basketball. And I studied English education, and it was an interesting experiment for me to go to a liberal arts school, conservative farm kid from North Central Indiana, and learn a lot about other ways of life. And I realized early on in my school that a lot of people just didn't know much about farming and where food came from, this back in the early 90s. And so set me on a different career path. I did go to Indiana University, then I transferred to IU for undergraduate for English education. Always wanted to be a teacher. But started working in a grocery store and continued with that dialogue, helping people kind of understand where food comes from and how food's grown. And so I worked for a specialty food company called KeHE Foods. They're based out of Chicago, Illinois. I did that for 4 years before I joined the National Pork Board based out of Des Moines, Iowa. I did that in 2000 and did that for a couple decades. That's where I really cut my teeth. And I always tell people that I was the farm kid in the food circles, and when I was in the food circles, I was the farm kid. So know a little bit about a lot of different segments across the entire agri-food value chain. Had a chance to go back to school a couple of times during my couple decades at the pork board and continuing education. And that led me to the opportunity to join Purdue University back in 2022. And we started a digital food lab there. I'm happy to tell you more about that. But just a high level overview of me. I'm an agri-food guy, and my entire career has been spent across the entire value chain. And I've been an advocate for our industry for more than 25 years. And really excited to talk further about how we build digital solutions for our industry at Dial Ventures at Purdue.
Good. So I was going to ask Jared, can you tell me a little bit of the long-term vision for Dial, and how does that really align with Purdue's mission?
Yeah, great question, Amanda. Thank you. So DIAL is an acronym, just like any good university. We use the heck out of acronyms. It's the Digital Innovation and Agri-Food Lab. So we're just working on digital. We're not doing any robots or anything like that. We're hardware agnostic, is what we like to say. It's all about innovation, and we're focused on agri-food. So I'll just say this: many years ago, it's 2015 actually. McKinsey, the consulting firm, did a report on industries' adoption of technology. So, how are different industries using tech to effectively evolve, change, and adapt? And of 22 industries, McKinsey had agriculture ranked as number 22. Probably not a huge surprise because we're a physical goods industry. We put seeds in the ground and we harvest plants and commodities for food consumption. We don't eat digits. That's not a tech, and it's not core to our capabilities. But clearly, you all know better than most where there are opportunities to develop tech solutions. And two of my colleagues co-wrote a white paper and said, well, the reason we really haven't adopted technology as much is because you got a lot of tech that is trying to fix agriculture without understanding how agriculture works. especially production agriculture. And so Purdue University, to your point, Amanda, your question, very focused on succeeding in the intersection of public and private sector. So lots of tremendous research happening at Purdue, but really it's applied research. How do we get this into the marketplace? And like any good economist, have tangible outputs that buyers and sellers are doing their thing in the marketplace. And so Purdue says, let's figure out how to teach these tech people that are trying to help our industry. Let's help them by giving them some exposure and help them get a good grounding and understanding of how our industry works before they start to build tech solutions. And so we started Dial Ventures, digital innovation. We run a 6-month fellowship, and we decided let's figure out how to bring tech entrepreneurs into this program, teach them about agriculture by talking to folks like you and all the different agribusinesses and food companies in the agri-food value chain. Folks give us a good sort of perspective on where the priority areas are really what we just call problems. Look, this is a bugger. We got to figure this out. And this problem cuts across a couple of different segments in the industry. And so it could be data interoperability, could just be better transparency, could be supply chain security, could be labor, any number of issues we talk to folks about. And because we talk to so many different stakeholders across agriculture and food, we really get a good holistic understanding of who really cares about this and what do they care about. And that gives us a unique point of view and definition of that problem. And so we go on a discovery mission then with those tech entrepreneurs and dive into the biggest problems, see where there are opportunities for a new solution, a digital one, in fact. And then we build a business plan and see if we could actually put a venture backable company together. We've been doing it for 3 years and we've launched 10 startups. And how does that align with Purdue's mission? To your question, Amanda, it's do research and create value and produce tangible outputs that help the industry move forward. So that's how Dial Ventures came to be and how it's aligned with the Purdue mission.
So that's really something you went back. So I was just thinking in 05, I got auto track on my tractor. So I was high tech, I was high tech. And we had our 1-800 number to call in, and we spent all our time calling in because we couldn't make it work. So is one of the reasons we farmers struggle is because of our, there's so much tech available. There's so much technology in agriculture, but our adoption rate is slower than the other industries, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it, Kaleb. We know how to farm and we're pretty doggone good at it. In fact, we're the best in the world at it. I put us up against Brazil and anybody else. We're good at it. And, thank a farmer is what I remind folks that aren't in the business of farm production agriculture every day. And anytime I get a chance to bring folks out to see farm operations, especially tech entrepreneurs, these people aren't from our industry. They come from totally not even tangentially related, far away. So I'm talking geographically, like they're in Silicon Valley or Boston or Miami, and they're in industries like cybersecurity or entertainment in Los Angeles, but they just know how to do tech, right? Just think of Netflix or insurance or something like that. So as soon as those people get exposed to you all and farmers like you, they get this spark, man, they really want to hunger. They want to do something to help because they see how hard it is to do what farmers do. And they also see why tech fails because, first of all, if you're a farmer, you really ain't got a whole lot of extra time. And all the jobs that you got to do on any given day, having another job in a space like tech that is not terribly familiar. I don't know how to code. I don't know how to write an application. It's intimidating. And so, yeah, that's part of the challenge. And so we've got to make sure that whoever is going to build these solutions, whatever it is, that they've got that real got to get a little dirt on their shoes, get a practical understanding and bring a pragmatic approach to the development of those tech solutions. And I think candidly, we're making a lot of progress in that space. There's been some scars and lots of really good ideas that are dead in the roadside ditch because the technology, it was compelling, but it just didn't have a real fit in agriculture. And so 10 years into it now, as you say, we've got some good experience and understanding of what's worked, what hasn't, why. And that's just given us a more narrow focus and understanding how to bring farmers along on that journey for adoption. But I think bottom line is, Kaleb, if we're building stuff that folks tell us that they actually care about, and then they're involved in that development of the concept, so their fingerprints are all over it, it just likens our chances for better adoption.
Jarrod, what is the process that you use to kind of validate uh, really before you kind of commit, okay, to this startup, or is this where we want to look at and committing to? What are some of the steps that you go through, or preliminary, obstacles that have to be met?
We have really two secret ingredients to our program, and yeah, they're both unique and incredibly valuable. The first is the tech entrepreneurs, that outside perspective that bring a tech sort of digital first mindset to the problems. I've talked about that. The other piece is the engagement across the ecosystem. So Purdue's a great big institution, powerful ecosystem. We got a lot of connections inside of companies and production agriculture, from upstream input manufacturers and mining all the way down to just short of the consumer. So we can talk to executives at Walmart or General Mills and of course Cargill's and Bunge's. We can talk to all the input manufacturers and ag retailers. The point of all of that is to ensure that we're validating every certainly assumption and a hypothesis, but the discovery along the way. So if I talk to someone at an agricultural retailer, say Helena, for example, and Helena gives me a point of view on this specific challenge, whatever it may be, increased requests for data for sustainability production. I don't know. I'm just making that up. Then I want to get another perspective that would be on the other side. So if the agricultural retailer is asking about this, then they got a customer, or maybe a customer's customer, that's asking for it. And thankfully, because of the capital P Purdue, we're able to go and talk to folks inside of those organizations and really just get that holistic perspective to validate, is this something we should pursue or not? So it's a bit more complex than that, but I'd just say, Amanda, the easiest way to describe it is we have the industry tell us, is this something we should be working on? Now tell us everything you can about it so we're informed, and then we'll roll up our sleeves and dig into it.
I think that's very astute. So I've done a lot of things. Graduated high school. I've been a lifelong farmer. Got battle scars, wounds from all sorts of different ways. But as I shared with you on the other thing, I think the outside look in. So I got some help with an Excel spreadsheet, and we made it into a financial software for farmers. And in the beginning of that, I had him working on something pretty simple, and he told me very, very fast, you know what you need, and I know how to do the tech. So if we can communicate, it's unstoppable what we can do, and really make a big difference in the industry. So
Hmm.
it's very astute. So if you have to find somebody to fix a problem, you probably need to go outside of the problem to find your solution, and that's really hits me at home, because just from a one own standpoint, I can't believe what we've gotten accomplished just on the farm. So I think that's like Khan Academy. Is that an online
Mm-hmm.
tool? Because I can't do my daughter's fourth grade math. 8 plus 6 is still 14, but they did it a different way than I did. So it's quite complicated out here, even the simplest of things. So I praise y'all for going and doing that.
It's funny you say that. My son's a freshman at Iowa State, and probably 3 weeks in, maybe 4 weeks in, he called me and he said, "Man, this math is different here." And he said what you just said. He said 2 + 2 still equals 4, but it's like they're teaching us to train what really is a 2. And is a 2 a 2? What's the difference between a 2 and a 4? And I said, well, what they're doing obviously is teaching you how to think. But you have to do that to understand a lot of things in life, especially at the speed of which technology is enabling new discoveries, Amanda. And could we, should we? Science says we can, and then ethically you start to ask the question of should we? And so I think for us, we've got an industry that is that's the oldest industry since the beginning of time, and it's the only economy in the world that touches everybody. And so when you really start to unpack for technologists or anybody in an outside industry how food is grown today, you see this. There are some naysayers and some antagonists for sure, but the vast majority of people, I'd call them in the malleable middle of the bell curve, where they're really interested and they trust farmers. And so when they can talk and hear from farmers, they start to develop a much better appreciation for it. And so there's a whole nother sermon. We can schedule that for another time. But the point is to agree with what you're saying, Kaleb. With technology, entrepreneurs, they have this drive inside of them to build and launch and then build and launch and build and launch. And the very best ones, they all make mistakes, but the best ones don't make the same mistakes twice. And so we try to find people who have successfully built, successfully launched, and successfully exited from digital startups and other industries. And that positions them well for what we believe we can show them, which is you want to be successful in the agri-food space with your next startup. Start here and get a firsthand perspective on people who have those battle wounds and scars, as you described, and can tell you where the landmines are. And that way we're going to get further faster. And that's the, I think, unique opportunity that the Dial program offers is tremendous credibility with the power of Purdue behind it. But most importantly, it's the lessons learned along the way. And Amanda, as you said, the validation process to ensure that we ain't building solutions looking for problems. We start with the problem first, bring that outside perspective in and come up with unique solutions that are designed to actually take away jobs for farmers, to make life smoother, easier, simpler. And then, yeah, that's how you get better adoption.
Yeah. So today, AI is huge all over the world. It's the big buzzword.
Yeah.
But it's really, if it's used properly, one of the speakers in Kansas City let us know that it could give us our time back. It could make us. So I'm all for that. I vote for that.
Me too. I bought his book. His name is Zach Cass, and he was the
Yeah.
chief product development officer at OpenAI. And that dude, he lit me up. I was fired up when I got heard him talking, because the way he positioned it, exactly as you just said, Kaleb, is exactly how we've been trying to think about it. So the way we teach it and the way we use it is you got to have a human on the front end of it and a human on the back end of it. And guess what? You need human engagement in the middle of it too. So you put crap in, you're going to get crap out, unfortunately. But if we train it right, then think about some of those mundane tasks that they just become routine. And you kind of pull your hair out sometimes because you don't have time to do other things. If you can, I'll use the word automate, but it's automated with your design around it. And it frees up X number of minutes, maybe even hours every day. Then you get to be more human. That's what I liked about what he said, Kaleb. You actually get to do human things.
Yeah.
So whether it's being on the tractor turning dirt or being at the kids' baseball game or whatever it may be, if we have technology that can enable us to do more of that, man, I'm all for it.
So one last thing on that. One other speaker said something at the meeting. I wonder if you caught it. It was Lars with Earth Optics. And so here I'm the bottleneck in my business today. And it's because I type it in and then I go to work on it and I type in something else. But man, when you put it in AI, you give it a task, it's nano speed running at that problem and then completion and then next problem. And so that's one of my things I really took away as well. He said it much better than that, but he really hit home with me.
Yeah, and then
Well, I
then
think
the consistency. Mm-hmm.
right. And I think that the way he presented it was not to have, most often we tend to have a fear factor. It's change. And so humans automatically don't want change. And then that, this whole skepticism of it's going to take away our careers, it's going to take away things. But the way he presented it was to embrace it, to acknowledge it and embrace it, and to start having baby steps to grow. Like, do not be fearful of it, and that it is here to be helpful for those of us who generally want to have more family time back, because most of us do not now, and
Yeah.
to busy our schedules. I think so. I really enjoyed that session of the FarmCon. I really did.
Yeah.
You're
So
spot
get
on.
us back into
Well, I've just in the conversation, I wanted to know what were some of the innovations so far by Dial Ventures that has been the most impactful, or what you think has been the most impactful that have come out of the 10 that so far?
Well, a mutual friend of ours, Shashi, is the CEO and co-founder of Oaken, and Shashi went through our program. He's of Indian descent and well educated, worked in the financial services industry, MasterCard specifically. Just the power of data collected through credit cards. My goodness, you wonder if you're buying what you want to buy or what they're telling you to buy based on your past behavior of buying sometimes. So, but that's my point. You bring someone like that who has an engineer mind and a digital first mind when he sees problems or challenges. And it's not like we got a whole laundry list of things that if we don't fix this, we're in trouble. But as you all know, there's plenty of things that we could do, some low-hanging fruit, as it were, that we might be able to develop a solution that just makes our lives a little bit easier, makes the business a bit stronger, gives us a little bit more time, like you were saying, Amanda. And that's what Oaken is. Oaken is designed to create seamless integrations between farmers and the landowners that folks will lease from. Now, and my family farms in north central Indiana, and my sister is one of the best bakers that you'll ever meet. So her chocolate chip cookies are legendary. Snickerdoodle cookies are legendary. And she takes them around to all the landlords, and that's good enough. We got good relationships. I say they have good relationships with the folks that we lease from. But in the background, because we have some technology that manages the communication, makes sure everybody's getting paid what we agreed to on time, that's what Oaken is designed to do, which now allows her to spend more time at the kitchen table having cookies, visiting with folks, because you've got this system in place that ensures that all the checks and balances are proper and done. And so the business has to get done, but the relationships in our industry are, as you all know, so critically important. Oaken was a solution to just make folks' lives easier. So when you're negotiating for price, when you're establishing payment, when you're as a land owner, you have different expectations for how you'd like to see the land cared for. You might want more sustainability efforts and buffer strips or whatever it may be. You may be focused exclusively on driving yield, and that's okay. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. But the point is, trying to organize all of that in handwritten or spreadsheets can become a bit cumbersome, and you may not get into it as often as you'd like. But when you have an application like Oaken that serves as a real platform where you plug the information in and it automates that, gives you those reminders, make sure the transactions are done at the right time. And then, that's just creating all kinds of opportunities to grow. That's what we would call the foothold. When you get the business going in the industry, that's where we'll start. Of course, you guys have experience in this. Hey, what if we did this little tweak here, quarter turn there? That might give us a whole new opportunity to do contract management in general. So we'll see where that takes off. But two other quick examples I'll give you. One's Croft, the other is Grip. Croft was the first company we built. It digitizes the H-2A visa program. Pretty hot topic right now, but it has been for a long, long time. When we started back in 2021, folks were telling us they didn't use the H-2A visa program because it's paper driven and you got to send it into the government and it takes 90 days and we don't know if we qualify. And then people get here and we got to start from scratch. They're not trained. So what is it? Croft digitizes all. It takes that 90 days and turns it into 90 seconds on your iPad. And then you've got like 5-player game mode now where you have legal and logistics and human resources and all of the planning to find South Africa, Mexico, wherever it may be. And boy, when folks hit the ground, they hit the ground running, ready to get to work. And so Croft has really hit a major pain point for the industry. We ain't solving labor, but making it a lot easier and accessible for labor, seasonal labor in particular in this country. And then Grip is essentially the simplest concept you could think of. It's a QR code that's tattooed or stickered or magnetized onto equipment, and it automates the records and the maintenance logs in particular to ensure that we have optimal runtime for all of this mixed fleet equipment. And that's to ensure that when you need stuff to work and run, it's designed to work and run. It helps you organize when you need to do what and keep everything optimally running and extending the life of those machines in that mixed fleet equipment. All three of those concepts went from 0 to 1 we put some seed funding in them with our fund, and then they've all done a seed series round. We did pre-seed, now they got seed, and they all have paying customers in the marketplace just in a couple of years, and they're cash flow positive, which is a really positive story. So we're scratching some serious itches, and because of our process I outlined earlier, you get advantaged startups spit out here to hit the ground running and provide some unique value to key customers in the marketplace.
Yeah, as a purchaser of both, I would like to just expound on that. So Grip, I just realized that that's one of your companies, but we bought Grip a year ago because our equipment dollars have got to go further. And about a year ago, I was following a 1941 model UPS truck. And just think about how many times they've remodeled that same truck and
Yeah.
just keep on making money. And on the farm, we're too quick to give up on our equipment investments. We need to maximize more, and that Grip that has the ability to do that. And when you get busy, you forget things, and those service points are critical. The other point in Oaken that's just hit me is what is the land transition coming up? I've seen it before, but in the next 10 years, that maybe 50% of the farmland trades transition. So that could really be a key spotlight in that critical. I mean, that's a national issue. Who's going to buy these? Who's going to buy this land?
I went to the Land Investment Expo last week in Des Moines, and that was a big part of the conversation. There are a lot of emerging family offices. And this guy from New York was there, and he said, "Man, y'all are so nice. Nobody's this nice in New York. Here in the Midwest," this was in Des Moines, Iowa, "everybody's so nice." And he said the family offices are emerging as major wealth holders in this country, billions with B's. And obviously, they've got an investment strategy, and it's a diversification strategy where farmland is now starting to emerge as its own asset class, because all total, it's $4 trillion in U.S. farmland. Now, think about that. You're up there with NVIDIA, with Apple, with Alphabet, Google. There's only a handful of $4 trillion asset classes or companies in that case. So, folks, and you have steady returns for appreciation. And so you've got family offices and a lot of wealth looking at this. But I'll come all the way back to your point with my sister and her cookies. There are a couple of farms that our family rents that nobody lives there anymore. You can't take cookies to the kids who live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Denver, Colorado. And so now it's become still personal because of generations knowing folks, right? But it's really more electronic correspondence because they ain't farming. They own the land that they've inherited, and they trust our family to farm and be stewards of that land. But everything has to be done on a contract electronically because they don't live close by. And again, it's not a good thing or a bad thing, but it's to your point. That's only going to increase, which makes tools like what we've talked about here in Oaken in particular incredibly valuable to help with that transition.
Yeah, that's very, very good points. And yeah, the Grip thing, like you said, the tattoo. I mean, you just tattoo your equipment and you've got it. And so I've been doing that for years on the farm with numbers because a lot of us have the same tractors, and to keep up with those service records is really something to do.
Good.
But it's so one thing I just want to go into here is, I guess your big thing here is you're a leadership company. You're in the leadership business, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to develop that. So is that a big part of your smell test to see if they're allowed to be a part of Dial?
It is. Yeah, there's a great big network of entrepreneurs out there. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We've got a few thousand in the queue, mainly through LinkedIn, surprisingly, has been the place where we've discovered, and we've just sort of cracked into this entrepreneurial network. But yeah, there's a lot of folks out there that have an idea that are looking for a partner to help accelerate it. Excuse me. And there's plenty of good people out there to do that. There's a lot of good tech that can use some help in that space. So shout out to those that have been bootstrapping from the barn or shed or wherever it may be. But our program's designed, pardon me, to ensure folks come in with a blank slate. We don't want you bringing an idea here looking for a solution. You got to trust this process. But more importantly, you got to trust the industry. So yeah, we're leadership development. We're going to introduce you to leaders across the agri-food system, whether it's farm operation, ag retail, chemical manufacturing suppliers, for the processors, distribution, CPG companies, whatever it may be. And so you're going to have the opportunity to engage with those folks. But we've established a curriculum here, and we continue to evolve and try to improve with each program that we run that helps entrepreneurs become better entrepreneurs, to become better business people. So if you're going to be the CEO of a startup, then it's not too different from being a farmer, because some days you're going to wear about 7 different hats, whether it's, in farm, you're a carpenter or a mechanic or an animal caretaker, what a veterinarian, whatever it may be. As a tech startup CEO, you're going to be putting the financial models together, obviously working with your tech folks to build out the concept. You're going to be out selling and fundraising and working with customers. And so we don't want to assume that folks know that. We assume that we're starting from scratch across the board and just help sort of either refine and polish or establish some new leadership qualities inside of these folks. And I'll be honest with you, as I said earlier, there's something special about our industry that it doesn't take very long for folks to get really excited about it. So not every innovation fellow that comes from our program gets to be a founder of a startup through Purdue Dial. But man, every single one of them is hungry to create some value for our industry. And they lead by listening and serving. And I think that's probably the best way to describe how our leadership model is developed and what it's designed to produce.
Jarrod, I've really enjoyed this conversation this afternoon. Are there any final thoughts that you would like to share in regards to Dial, or for those that may be watching that have some ideas that they want to, maybe they're just in that fear factor stage or they don't want to step out there, but give us some feedback on that.
Yeah, I'd encourage folks to lean in and show up. So what do you mean by that? Look, we all got problems. You think across the board of our daily tasks and some of these emerging challenges, and there's some big geopolitical challenges, but how does that work its way down here to home, and what can we do about it? And talking with neighbors and getting involved in community organizations, county level, state level, even national level is really important to listen and learn and obviously contribute. So the more of us that are collaborating and talking about where the problem or the opportunity areas are, the better our chances to find success and solutions that actually help us continue to grow, continue to evolve, and continue to do what matters most, which is maintain our businesses and be good stewards of the land and get them ready for the next generation. The other thing I would say is our model is pretty straightforward. It's simple. It's really complex, but we've simplified it down. It's a 3-step process. It's discovery, it's build, and it's launch. The discovery piece is arguably most critical. It's back to your question earlier, Amanda, about validating assumptions. We don't assume anything. We know what we know, but we also know a lot about what we don't know. So we go ask smart people like you guys to give us a perspective on these things, and that helps shape it. Discovery, critically important. And then the building part, you got to be disciplined. Don't buy your own hype. Your friends, they're not going to tell you that your baby is ugly, but this baby might be ugly, and we need some strategic partners to tell us that. And if it's ugly, then help us make it better. And then launch. You can pour a lot of money into a lot of projects, and everybody is really thinking about strategically where to deploy capital. Be disciplined. It's got to be something that really matters, that can help me be better and hit that bottom line for operational efficiencies. Obviously, that's top of mind for everybody right now. If there is some free capital, or not free capital, but some discretionary funds that you could invest, yeah, do your diligence. Make sure you're looking and looking at things objectively to see what that market size looks like and the pathway for revenue generation. And there's some pretty dynamic leaders out there that are pitching some cool concepts. Maintain that objective lens and make sure you're investing in things that really matter to your farm and to your operation and where you see the trends heading moving forward.
Thank you.
So I'd like to thank you for your time. it's today is a big day in Indiana, so we got the national championship game tonight, and it's real cold in Tennessee, but your thoughts and all that are very warm with us today. You shared your insights and made me think a little differently, and just want to thank you for your time. And if anybody hasn't, we sure would appreciate you to subscribe, share this with your friends, or check us out on rooted-ag.com. And Dial has a website as well. So if we want to learn more about Dial, how do we do that?
That's it. Dialventures.com. That's where we're at. DIAL. Dial is the acronym. Dialventures.com. Listen, you guys got something special here. And I know you got a lot of farmers listening, and that's good. Farmers talking to farmers and thinking and everything that I just described. I applaud y'all for putting this together and giving me the chance. It's an honor. I really appreciate it. And a big hearty thank you to you and all the farmers out there that are raising food for us every day. I sure appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jarrod.
All right. Thanks, guys.